This is the 10th year anniversary of my daughter's death. She died today of a heart defect, and it's been difficult for a lot of reasons, and man, it always seems to be intertwined with the cult, right? So you may or may not know, if you've seen my videos, if you know who I am or where I'm from, what's been going on. Once upon a time, I was in a cult, and it was, obviously it started before that, because I don't think you end up in a cult and lose your identity if you know who you are and you've had a healthy beginning. So I guess they're not the first people that have groomed me for that kind of situation or experience. But I look at my phone today, or actually no, I looked at it a couple days ago, and this has been 10 years. I've 10 years since my daughter passed away. And when my daughter was alive, I had to hear from the church that I gave everything to that, Armando Deloa, the pastor at the time, he said, God has cursed your daughter because you're not obedient. He wouldn't pray for my daughter. My son Ezekiel's mom, who's in that church, she said the same thing. She literally texted me if you were obedient, God would heal your daughter. And she died. So guess what guess what I had to go through? It was more grief on top of grief. And just to think about a church that would even say those things about somebody that they know. Even we share a child. She had my kid, you know what I'm saying? But I'm so evil, right? But Efren didn't say those things to me, right? And this is where this video is going. The one behind the scenes, the one pulling the strings, Efren Palacios, who's now the pastor, because Armando and Andrew Ponce had something going on. And I'm mentioning Andrew Ponce because he threatened me. I actually took down the videos. For years they were down. There was no videos. I literally made them private. I didn't want to deal with the drama. I didn't want to be associated with Efren. I walked away from even Ezekiel. And Andrew Ponce threatens me because Efren talked to him and asked him why he talked to me about what was going on. And so Andrew, instead of seeing it is what it is, I don't know what he, the point is, Andrew came and attacked me. He said I need to get my ass whooped, and he was gonna strike when I least expect it on my Instagram. So I'm like, you know what? And this is right before my son was born, Elijah. My second baby boy, Enoch, was just born on the 2nd. But the thing is, my mind is always tied in with the evil things. Like when I go to sleep at night, I think of Bill Reeves and how he used to stand behind me when I took a piss. I went through a time where I couldn't even piss in public after this cult. And I think this all started because I have an injury, right? And the doctor's been asking me yo, how the fuck did you get so fucked up, right? And I don't remember. I'm like, well, one day I stretched, I'd been in car accidents when I was young. I got a fucking birth defect or whatever. My spine is fucked already or whatever. But how did it get so fucked up, right? And I'm like, I just stretched. But then I thought about it, and I didn't tell the doctors this, but here's the thing. I was in a cult. Armando told me to stop working so that I could take care of him. And I'm totally in this cult, right? This is a man of God, right? This is the Holy Spirit incarnate. So yes, man of God, I'm living with Bill Reeves. Bill Reeves daily reminds me of how much money I owe him when everybody's living there rent free. But so anyway, I'm starving. I have no money. I was starving. I was gonna try to go to the gym, LA Fitness, and Armando was like, no, you're gonna lust after women, you can't go to the gym. So I didn't go to the gym. So what do? My muscles get weak, my body's weak, I'm starving, I'm literally so skinny, I'm like a bobblehead in this church. I was in this cult, I had no sleep, I never slept because Armando needed me, right? And I massaged his crusty ass feet that eventually fell off. And all the while, Bill Reeves is fucking trying to touch my dick and my balls when he's fucking massaging me because I have a neck injury. He's down there on my fucking dick, right? And I literally left the church. I had another kid. Like I was like, yo, this guy touched me, dude. And Bill talking like Bill trying to get on like at me. Like I'm thinking of it like a goat. Like if a goat was on me, I wouldn't think of it. You know what I'm saying? But I tried to say it to Efren, but the whole point, let me get back to this, okay? This is what I think of every day, right? I have a newborn at home. Mother-in-law's over there, so I took a little trip to the park to get my mind right, but to make this video, because I look at my phone and I see, like, I don't know how first of all, I don't know how it's on my phone. Maybe it's from Google or something, but it's Efren's birthday today. Efren Palacios, it's his birthday today. And it's the day my daughter died, right? So, and here we go, right? So I tell Efren about Bill. Efren scolds me. How dare you think these dirty thoughts of Bill? He's a man of God. Now, the guy who, Bill Reeves, he has even done that to minors, but he's also done that to other people. And it was a sexual assault. He's a sexual predator, right? But now he's the co-founder of the new church that Efren has established called the House of Mercy. He's on the 501c3. I looked it up. And this new church comes out of basically blackmailing Armando because Andrew Ponce had something to do with, you know, the sexual things that Andrew and Armando were doing, and Efren took it over. But here's the thing. 10 years ago, my daughter dies. Today, this is Efren's birthday. I text Efren. He's the only guy I fucking trusted, the only man of God in my life at that point. I was giving him tithes, and so I asked him if he would preach my daughter's funeral, and he said yes. And sit with me on this, okay? This is where I'm at right now. Every day, see. My dear brother Brian, we went to the church together. He came to me, he told me all these things that were happening, Armando's abuse. I couldn't believe it. I made a video, another video. All these people started coming to me, validating what Brian was saying. You know, if Brian's watching this, I love you, bro. You know, Brian said some things to me. He was like, you know what, man, I'm not gonna get involved with this court shit. Like, it seems like you just want to fucking attack Efren. Armando died. He's like, you don't seem to even care that, you know, about helping your son, and that hurt me. It really fucking hurt, right? I was really hurt by that. But, you know, years have gone by since I made those videos, since all the realizations that it was true. But like, he was right. Like, really, it wasn't. I realize now now that I found out that Efren was involved, Efren was the one who brought the documents to take away my son to Armando. Armando was the one that signed them and was the bully in my face, but he wasn't the one that was doing the work behind the scenes. And he told me, Efren told me, he's like, I'll preach, you know. He's like, look. And Mei Ling and Efren both were telling me, like, you know, it was my sons were supposed to be with me that weekend. This is hard for me, okay? This is really hard. My heart is racing, so just you know, bear with me if you want to. Like, I want you guys to hear it. I need to speak these words, okay? This has been a long time. So I was told by them that my sons shouldn't see me cry, so that they shouldn't be there at the funeral. And my sons, meaning I have two women, so it's not like both of them were, okay, so, but Ezekiel, right? And for me, I'm like, why wouldn't my sons want to be able to know that their dad loves them, like loves his children, right? And I did cry, I sobbed, I did cry at that funeral, right? After I carried my daughter in her coffin, and I didn't tell anybody, but my back wasn't working, and I was just holding her like in the coffin, like I just don't want to drop the coffin. Like I didn't really even like get to like really, what I'm saying? But yeah, I did cry. But the thing is, what he didn't tell me was that he had been telling Ezekiel that I was a bad person, and he'd been telling people that I attract demons. And Mei Ling was saying that too, that Ezekiel comes to my house and then he goes back with demons. And this whole time, Efren Palacios, he went to the funeral, right? And he spoke beautiful words. He spoke about how my daughter was safe with Jesus Christ because she was sanctified by her parents, her mom and dad, me and Lindy. He spoke about me and my love for God. And he said the most beautiful words. I was so thankful. And I realized, like, now it's like in my mind, it's like he didn't let Ezekiel hear the beautiful words that he was saying about me. Like, his church doesn't know the beautiful words that he said about me, but the people at the funeral do. They heard the words. They looked to Efren and was like, wow, what a sweet, sermon or whatever, right? But behind my back the whole time, like, dude, I had the cult leader that kept my firstborn son from me and tells him not to cooperate with the judges or with the counselors in these court-ordered visitations where I can't just be with my son and throw a football. I have to be like in front of this therapist looking at me like I need some, like, he needs protection. It's like Efren did this, right? And this all started with doctrine. This all started with me not believing their doctrine, and they see that the control they had over me, they couldn't have it, but they had me. They had my loyalty. They had my confidence and my faith. Like, I left the church peacefully, and I was like, you know what? This is a place they can, my son Ezekiel's all right here. They got Efren, and really it was Efren. Like, I left him there for Efren. And with all that, and I keep seeing it's entwined, like, how is it that the day my daughter died is the day that Efren was born? Like, the same day? Thank God it wasn't that she was born on the day that he died, but I mean, whatever, he's still alive, whatever. He could die on that day. But think about that. Like, Efren Palacios, the guy who has been against me to my own firstborn son, and he even announces things on his pulpit about me that I have to hear, because I hear so much and I don't even ask for it. But if you're going to his cult, if you're a part of his cult, I want to ask you guys, like, dude, you sit next to my son every day. On Facebook, my son has a picture, his profile picture is of him and fucking Efren Palacios. He's an old fucking, he's my age. This young kid with an old fucking dude. Like, it's not even his dad. Like, think about that. Like, he's captured you guys, and you guys sit there next to my son and, like, ask him, hey, why did you preach Elisha's daughter's funeral? Isn't this the enemy? Isn't this the guy who is like, well, here, and now ask him that, okay? That year I gave him $17,000. And I think about it, I'm like, wow, unbelievable. So when I stopped giving him money I was like, dude, you can't give me like a receipt for the money. Like, so I have to basically eat like $17,000-$18,000 because you won't give me like a you know, you feel me? So it's like, okay. And I told him, I was like, bro, I love you. I can't do this anymore. I gotta focus. My daughter was dead. My businesses were going fucking up. So I'm like, I gotta focus. Immediately, and I thought it was Mei Ling, but immediately after that, they take my son. Immediately after that. So this is the thing. Like when I think of my daughter and I think of Efren, I think of my daughter, I think of Efren. I grieve for my daughter. I get angry about Efren, but really it's sadness. It's not about Ezekiel. It's not about that. It's literally like, dude, Ezekiel's his own man. He can make his own choices, but he preached my daughter's funeral. He couldn't have just said like he had the flu. He couldn't have just said, you know what, he's got to go preach in San Jose where they do their thing. He came and he preached my daughter's funeral and spoke those words, but he told me not to let my son be present. And this whole time I'm like, okay, in order for me to maybe have some peace and separate and be able to think about my daughter and think about how she literally, her death was like her life. She was like a shooting star through this world, and she was born for a reason because she changed my life, and so I'm going this way now, and she's made me to take a hard look at myself. So cult leaders and con artists will fuck you over and they'll bounce. A con artist will move into your house. They'll fuck you over and move in and go closer. And if you go to his church, if you see my son, if you look at him and you look at this guy preaching and his charismatic fucking preaching, just ask yourself, like, he preached Elisha's daughter's funeral. So who is this guy? Is he really this or is he really that? With that, man, like, the last thing I'm going to say is that it's been on my heart that it all started with doctrine, right? It started with not being able to control my thought process. And when I asked the question, if the Holy Spirit is God, how is it that Jesus says, when the Spirit of truth comes, he will not speak his own words, but that which he hears? And that question was the catalyst that led me to understand that Jesus is the Son of God. And I could go into that, and I will. Because I feel like Ezekiel used to tell me, and I'm like, yo, Jesus is the Son of God. And he's like, and I said, just like you are my son, Jesus is God's son. You know, Jesus is not his own dad, right? And he was little, but he repeated that. Then he left. There's control. It's all about control. And Efren really never thought that I would find out all the things that he said. But the crazy part is, it was Efren that said to me on the phone that made me realize that it was him this whole time. He said, I told Ezekiel that it's not good to talk in front of strangers. You don't cooperate with the therapist. Your dad agrees. And I was on the phone. I was like, how could I be spending hundreds of dollars a session being disrespected by this child, being gaslighted, being looked at like an abuser in front of the therapist every single week, and continue in that when I don't want him to open up? If I didn't want him to open up, I wouldn't be there. It was Efren that did that. And happy birthday, Efren. I hope that every single person that you've meddled in their lives, I hope they see this video, and I hope that they look at you in the way that you truly are. And I hope they ask themselves, if they don't ask you, who is this guy?